Thank you so much for joining us again. And well, my name is Fairooz, and I'm an elections fellow for AMP Global Youth. I strive to empower and inform the youth about the upcoming elections and elevate youth voices on voting. And I know we're currently somewhat working on the same thing. So if you could please tell us a little bit about yourself and your work with Black Jubilee.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation and to AMP Global Youth. I appreciate the work that you guys are doing and bringing awareness, especially for this election season. It's very important, if not one of the most important election cycles we've had in a very long time. Black Jubilee was created this year, actually, during the pandemic. I really wrestled with the idea of how I can contribute to society during this time because we had a lot of downtime. A lot of people were working from home or either getting laid off from their jobs. So I wrestled with the idea of what I could contribute to begin a conversation and making sure that not only millennials are educated, but African American millennials are educated. And so with that, it came Black Jubilee. And the purpose of it was to really be an educational, media driven Instagram page to start conversations. And it turned into something that we focus on some of the topics that's in the African American community, such as health and wellness, faith, family, fitness, and finance. And it has really taken off and is doing well.
Well, in the Black Jubilee page, you're very vocal on voting and having your voices be heard. So I was just wondering, have you always felt this strongly about voting, or was there a specific moment in your life that made you more interested in politics?
Oh yeah, most definitely. So I would say yes to both. Voting has been very important in my family, dating back to my great grandmother, and also being born and raised in Alabama, Mobile, Alabama to be exact. And I remember even as a kid, they would be up early in the morning preparing to go vote, and they were very in tune with current events and what was going on in our society. So rightfully so, it passed on to me, but I guess it heightened of sense because I think with the pandemic and just what is going on right now in our political society is forced us to have conversations, truthful conversations, honest conversation. So yes, it's definitely been um, it's in my genes about voting.
That's amazing. I know that this pandemic has definitely brought a lot of things to light, like the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes.
So I was just wondering, what impact do you think movements like the Black Lives Matter protests will have on voters and this election in general?
I think Black Lives Matter is very important. We have to look at how, first of all, we have to talk about some of the issues that are being faced in the African American community and the minority community. Although these have been conversations in our homes or in our communities, but now it seems that it's coming more globally. Definitely has taken on like wildfires from, you know, from rallies, even if you turn on to the news all over overseas, these protests are taking on, but they're forcing us to pull back the layers of what's going on and really forcing us to be the country that we want to be and being equal and having a seat at the table in order for everybody to thrive and move forward.
Definitely, that was a beautiful answer. Um, so what motivates you personally to come out and vote?
Oh, that's a loaded question. But I'll keep it short. I think what motivated me honestly was just it was a quote that I heard from Professor Eddie Glaude. He's a contributor from MSNBC, and he mentioned how President Trump is the manifestation of what America is. And I think for me, this is a very pivotal point in making sure that we can shape history where everybody wins. It's not about Democrats or Republicans or independents, but it's about bringing all of us together and having a conversation. Because if we want to be honest, we all have some similarities. We all have similar struggles. We all have disappointments and difficulties. So yes, I definitely think that this is what prompts me to go vote. And it also prompts me to hold the elected officials that are in office accountable, to really take a deep look at what they've done, how they're contributing to society. Because if you haven't watched the news lately, things are changing. The world is changing, our climate is changing. So you can't do old tricks and still try to move forward. We have to have fresh minds and fresh ways of doing things, and that's what makes us great.
So this is also, I think, a very loaded question, but what issues will you be voting for this election?
Oh, so I definitely want to see what happens with our student loan issues with student loan. Of course, before student loans, I think that's something that everybody deals with. But definitely, I want to see healthcare. I want to be able to see where do we go with that. I mean, of course, we know that that is on the Supreme Court docket and being argued in the Supreme Court right now. The Obamacare Affordable Health Care Act, whichever one you want to call it. So that's for sure. I would say healthcare and student loans for sure. And then thirdly, I would add criminal justice reform, and fourthly, educational reform.
Yes, those are definitely very pressing issues, even without the whole pandemic craziness.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, what impact do you feel that your vote will have on this election?
Um, I think I think it would definitely give a young voice for a while, even through the history of America. We've had more of a different perspective, a unique perspective, maybe a demographic perspective, more on one side. But I definitely think that uh, we will have I would be my voice, and the people who I impact through Black Jubilee will be eager and challenged to vote. One of the examples I can mention is when President Obama was running. One of the unique things that happened was he brought a lot of young voices to the polls. And so hopefully that's to go through Black Jubilee and even through the work that you all are doing, that I've noticed that you guys are really advocating and bringing a lot of Black voices to the polls, and that's important.
Yeah, I think inclusivity is such a major issue. And and this takes me to my next question. How do you think our political system could better include the voices of youth?
You answered it. Inclusivity, basically having all persons at the table, people that have different perspectives but share similar beliefs, and just want everybody to win and have a sense of equity, whether it's physically, financially, all of the above.
What advice do you have for people who are getting into politics for the first time this election?
I would say be truthful, and lead with good intentions for the people that you serve, and serve with a good heart. I think for years and generations, we've had a lot of politicians who have held office for self gain, if you will. But I think what we're seeing now is, as I mentioned earlier, is really about serving and separating what's right versus what's wrong. And so that's the advice that I would give to anyone who is entering into politics for the first time.
Do you remember your first time?
Oh man. So funny fact, I've worked with two mayors. Actually, one is a Democratic mayor and one is a Republican mayor. The Democratic mayor is Mayor Mitchell J. Landrieu of New Orleans, and the Republican mayor is Mayor William Sandy Simpson of Mobile, my hometown. And it was very unique. But what I found so interesting about them, they all had similar interests, and that was caring for the city, caring for the people, doing what was right, and making sure that the people had exactly what they need in order for the city to progress and be healthy and whole, and everyone have a good quality of life. So if you can have that recipe, you can win as many times as you want in the election cycle.
How do you think people can stay more involved in politics and other important social issues even after the election?
Um, I would definitely say doing exactly what we're doing, talking about it, communications, youth groups or text message groups or phone calls, staying tapped into what's going on in the news. There are several sites that you can go on to see what your political officials are doing, what bills they're voting on, to be able to hold them accountable. You want to make sure that the people that you put in office are doing what's right, and it's a representation of you. So I definitely think that we should keep the momentum going, and not just on a national level. Although the focus is the national election, but you definitely want to make sure that you stay tapped in to the local, your state, as well as your government election.
When going about finding who's the right candidate for you, what tips would you give to people?
Mm, I would tell people to dig deep of what are some of the things that you believe in, such as healthcare, education reform, um, abortion. I know that's a pretty huge topic, touchy topic, uh, and see where those candidates stand with that. If the candidate is where you want to be, okay, let's support that. But if not, then and I think a lot of times what happens is that a person may find out that they're actually a good candidate to run for office because of the passion that they find and digging deep and finding what's underneath. And I think that that's what's unique about the pandemic in this election cycle is that it's allowing people to have those conversations, to dig deep, to find that passion and push forward. So it may not always be the person who runs for office. It may be you.
So both of us are very vocal on equity for all. So I was just wondering, what's the importance of down ballot races, and how can we pay attention to these races when the presidential election seems so all-consuming?
Um, Equity for all. I would say that we have to. Well, I definitely think that this is a learning curve for everybody. Being honest, I'm from Alabama, and it wasn't until I went to college and I heard of early voting. It's interesting, I know. And so I think that we have to begin, the conversation begins with us to make sure that we're okay, that we're safe, to make sure that everyone is protected in situations like this. Of course, with COVID, it has brought on some unusual, unique instances to happen with the voting cycle. But I hope that somewhere someone is writing all of this down so we can have a conversation and push some things in effect so this won't happen again.
How can people stay involved in politics and, oh, sorry, hold up. I mean, what are some strategies young people can use to make their voices be heard to people in power?
Okay. So I'm currently in information technology, IT. It's all at your fingertips. You can use it on your phone, your social media. Uh, you can do it through videos and just voicing your opinion, voicing your claim on how do you feel about certain issues, and contributing your voice, linking your voice with other people who believe the same thing. And you'll be surprised that there are people, across the globe who feel similar, and that can even prompt a dialogue there.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned social media, and it's just like such a huge platform which enables everyone to reach such a diverse community and audience. And so, what impact do you think social media has um, played in terms of politics and the upcoming elections?
Um, it has I would say both good and bad. Um, on the good side, it's been very informative. On the bad side of it, it has kind of haunted a little people, some people, especially with the older generation, because everything is just moving so fast, and with the ongoing emails and people feeling threat and just trying to keep it clean as we get to November 3rd. But it seems like every day it's just always something. But I think we have to see past that and do our research to make sure that we know who's the right candidate to represent us going forward.
Previously, you've mentioned that people like me might find themselves wanting to run for office, but that seems like really overwhelming. Do you have any tips on where to start?
Well, I mean, it takes good friends and support to make this dream come true in yourself, and I think it's confidence. So, um, I would say if you have the love and the passion for people, and you want to see people do well, go for it. Why not you? That's the best advice I could say. Why not you? Um, in a lot of people who did not take the chance are now looking back and wish they did. And a lot of people like Congresswoman, excuse me, AOC, that group of women that came in recently, they're awesome, and some of their stories are similar. They were grassroots people, and they worked, and they made their way to the top all by an idea. So yeah, why not you?
That's so inspiring.
Thank you.
Why do you think youth voices are important in both politics, but also in a more broad aspect?
Um, because people want to hear, I would say people want to hear honest opinion. Um, I think for a while, at least the last 3.5 years, we've just heard so much information, so much stuff. Is you want to hear someone that's going to be true, authentic, pure, and no hidden agenda. So yeah, that's the best way I can answer that one.
If you had one piece of advice to give to everyone voting this election, what would it be?
I would say keep the momentum going. Do not let up. Do not let up on your politicians. Um, it's not just about the national election, although that is very important. The local election is very important because although you elect your mayors and your city councils, you elect your police chiefs. You elect your police chiefs. you elect your police chiefs. As well as the state, you elect your governors, and then also your on the national level, your government level. So I would say keep the momentum going. Do not be lax and be comfortable. The best advice I can give, even back in 2016, um, even with the voters turnout, and we know numbers do not lie. Everyone believed and thought that Hillary Clinton was going to be the winner, and we were all trying to figure out what happened. I think it's safe to say 3.5 years later, we're still trying to figure out what's happening. But I think that we have to hold each other accountable. We have to make sure that the people that we're connected to, the community, that we continue to be a voice and move forward and begin to really seriously have hard conversations of what we want to do, how we want to progress as a country, and be successful and have equity for all.
Well, that was the last question. Thank you so much for your inspiring insight, and thank you to everyone watching our live. Do you have any social media handles that you want to share?
Yes. Again, thank you for the opportunity. You can follow Black Jubilee at Black, that's spelled BLK Jubilee, on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have dialogue with you and begin our conversations on some of the important issues in the Black community. And we'd love to partner with you. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes, please go check them out, guys, because they have amazing content. I was hooked.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you next time.
All right. Thank you.